It's a frightening new development in the LA's gang crisis, and it threatens everyone who lives here. Some call it ethnic terrorism. You might find some of the words and ideas expressed in this story to be inflammatory and vulgar. I know I did.
If we feel like, hitting a Mexican across the head just because, then that's what we do.
He's a gangbanger who goes by the name Killer. And with a name like that, he gets my full attention.
But we're not giving no passes to no Mexicans that gangbang.
But first, a frightening background on a new breed of gang. Experts are noticing something new here in South LA. They call them emotional gangs. These are gangs that are not driven by greed or by drug dealing, but by hate and the need to define themselves by their enemies.
Officers and people in position to do things to make a difference in communities, they've known about the racial problem that's been going on here. They've known about it, and for
Charlene Lovett's daughter Cheryl was killed when members of the Latino 204th Street gang were looking for an African American, any African American, to shoot. Take a look at this precious home video that even her mom is seeing right now for the first time. That's Cheryl dancing with her grandma 3 years ago.
Oh, working this girl in. You go, girl.
A tight, upbeat family, seemingly without a care in the world, until a few days before Christmas. The light of her life was extinguished, and the pain that will never heal is the thought that nobody cared.
They don't care. They don't care because they don't live in this community. They don't have to go. They don't have to worry about their kids. They don't have to worry about when they come in and out of their home, if their lives or their kids' lives are going to be taken. So they can't even fathom the thought to even think that way because they don't have to. But what about the people that can't afford to live that kind of lifestyle?
There is plenty of hatred to go around. Black gangs that hate Latinos. Latino gangs that hate African Americans. In the last 4 years, an 11% spike in gang violence that crosses racial lines.
You have a lot of the Latinos that are afraid as well. They're afraid to speak out.
So it doesn't surprise you that it would be driven by emotion?
No, not at all. I think that's basic psychology, human instinct. Absolutely.
Riding with the gang detail in Southeast Division very early one Saturday morning, we get the sense the cops are passionate about their work, but overwhelmed by the enormity of the crisis.
It's absolutely, it can be very frustrating. The sheer violence that occurs here is incredible.
Where is all this hate coming from? Gang expert Alex Alonso says it's really rather simple.
Some of it is just out of sheer hate and sheer, we don't like you living in our neighborhood and vice versa. So part of it is also just demographic changes that are happening across the county.
Just as we're sitting down to do that interview with Alex, the call comes in. Killer, the emotional gang member, is angry. He's agitated, and he's anxious to be heard. Killer has agreed to talk with someone who he professes to be his mortal enemy, a journalist of Mexican descent. As we meet, the tension between us is undeniable.
It's been happening. They actually took over some black neighborhoods and made it all Mexican now.
So really what you're talking about is the shifting, the way the area has changed.
Yes, definitely.
In general, it doesn't even matter if you're talking...
If all the Mexicans wouldn't have came across the border, we wouldn't be having this problem right now.
Well, you're sounding a lot like a Minuteman.
Call it what you want.
Killer sets 2 ground rules: that his face be hidden and his voice altered.
And all blacks should be aware that Mexicans have a problem with blacks. And the more populated they get, the worse it's going to get.
Is that a threat?
Yes, it's a threat.
How do we know Killer is legit? He was brought to us by T. Rogers, a former gang leader. Now he's an author and consultant to several police departments. After 20 minutes, here's what Killer had to say.
And there's no offense to you, Ms. Diaz, because I know you got Hispanic in you, something like that. I don't have a problem with all Mexicans. But the ones who pose a threat to black people.
The irony here, Cheryl Green lived in a violent neighborhood, but she lived worlds away from Killer's world.
I had many friends of different cultures, Samoan, Asian, Hispanics. She is my baby.
Cheryl Green was only 14 when she was murdered. She recently wrote a poem that started, "I am black and beautiful. I wonder how I will be living in the future."
Rockin' it, yes, he is rockin' it. Tito rockin' it, yes, he is rockin' it.